Hey, everybody, what is happening? I'm Glen Kuiper. This is the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. It's my first show on my YouTube channel, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm excited to sit with you guys, and I appreciate everybody stopping by and watching my first show. There's going to be a show every week, and we are going to cover the San Francisco Giants inside and out. We'll also check in on the rest of the world of baseball and have guests and all that good stuff. But the Giants will be our main topic, and that's all we want to talk about anyways after the start they have had. But before we get the show going for today, this is a new platform for me, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about YouTube. The other things I've done in my career, nothing's been quite as wide open as this, where I can talk about different things and get a little deeper into a baseball team. As a play-by-play announcer, which I've done a lot of, you're pretty restricted to the game, and anything you want to get into kind of deeper, you don't really have a lot of time to do that. I've done a lot of pregame shows, postgame shows in a studio on site. I've done it for different sports: Sharks, Warriors, Giants, A's, and even those, I mean, they're 30 minutes long. Each segment's 5-6 minutes, so there's some time restraint involved in all these different things that I've done in my career. So this is different, and this is very new for me, and it's one of the reasons why I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and just being able to dig a little deeper into the world of sports, and specifically the Giants. So we'll be doing that hopefully for a long time. And I know the people out there that are watching and will be watching, the majority of them are going to be Giants fans, and all of those people have a different story on how they became a Giants fan or how their relationship started with the Giants. And I just wanted to give our viewers my story, because I think it's probably a little bit different than a lot of people's. But when I was 11 years old, my brother Dwayne made it to the major leagues, and he got to the major leagues with then they were the Cleveland Indians. I know they're the Guardians now, but back then they were the Indians. And as soon as that happens as an 11-year-old kid, no other team matters. It just doesn't matter. That is your team. And I really didn't pay much attention to other teams, and I really paid no attention to the National League. It just, I knew the teams, but because the Indians were in the American League, that's your team. Your brother's playing, right? So you're just locked in. Nothing else mattered. For a long time, through really my teenage years. That all changed on a November night in 1981. It was actually a Sunday morning. I was a freshman in college, and I got an early phone call, which at that time in my life, I wasn't really happy with early phone calls. I was a freshman, and it was after a Saturday night in college. But anyways, and it was my brother, and I was a little foggy and a little out of it. It was very early, and he said, "Hey, I got some big news. I have been traded to the San Francisco Giants." And none of that registered. It just did not register at all. It didn't make any sense. It was like, well, I don't even know what that's about. And again, I wasn't, I was tired. I was sleepy. So I remember going back to bed and then waking up a couple hours later and realizing that this really did happen. And I was thinking, the San Francisco Giants, I don't know anything about them. I know Willie Mays played for them. I know Willie McCovey played for them. I know Juan Marichal played for them. And I remember as a kid, I liked John Montefusco because I thought his nickname was great, the Count. But he wasn't with them anymore. I just didn't know any of their players. I didn't know anything. But that's when it started. So, and that's when really the Kuiper family relationship with the San Francisco Giants started in November of 1981. And it's obviously been a very long relationship. And I have worked for other teams. I worked for the A's for a long time, but the relationship and the family and my feelings, toward the Giants have never really wavered since that phone call way back my freshman year in college. So that's how it all started for me for the orange and black. So just a couple things I wanted to throw out there as we get this show started. I want to let you know you can follow me on X, the former Twitter. It's at Kuiper Baseball. So give me a follow. Talk a lot about the Giants on there. And also for our show tonight and for all of our shows, if you guys have any questions about stuff I'm talking about, we're going to get into this stuff here in a second. Throw the question into the chat box, or you can email your question at me. I got a work email at glenkuiperbaseball@gmail.com. So either put your question in the chat, or you see the email, you can send it to me through that. Ryan, our producer, will get it, and we'll get the question in right away if it's something about specifically what we're talking about. But I certainly want everybody to be involved, and I want to talk to the people who are watching the show. So that's a couple of things I'd like to make sure that we do. And most importantly, hit the subscribe button. I've been told that when you have your own show on YouTube, this is what you have to say early and often. Hit the subscribe button. So there's that. Now, what we're going to do today, and it's going to be our overriding question throughout the show. And then at the end of the show, I'll tell you if I feel like the answer is a yes or no, and I want you guys to kind of work yourself into an answer as well. But are the Giants contenders? And I think it's a fair question, and it's a question we've heard a lot already, even though it's just a month into the season. But people are, the Dodgers are contenders. The Mets are contenders. The Padres are contenders. Giants have surprised a few people in very early on. So that question is out there. So think about that as we work our way through the show. Are the Giants contenders? So we're going to talk about what we've seen from the Giants and what we think we may see going forward. We're also going to talk about the National League West. We have to, right? It's the best division in baseball right now. And we know those teams are contenders. Are the Giants in that group? And certainly right now they are because of their record. But we also are looking forward. And then we're going to go into something that you may not originally think has anything to do with contending, because the contending is all about what you're doing at the major league level. But we're going to look at the Giants minor league system, especially the upper minor league system. We're going to do that every show, but for tonight's show, that's going to be part of answering the question, because there's depth in the minor league system and there's people that other teams are going to want if the Giants are contenders and want to make a deal. So that's where a quick look at the minor leagues and who's doing what, who's doing well for the Giants is going to play into this question of, are the Giants contenders? So that's what we're going to work through tonight. So let's look at this season so far. First month has been excellent. We all know that. Fans are super excited. Lots of sellouts. I mean, the place, Oracle Park, has been pretty cool this year in the very early going, and for good reason. Walk-offs, and the team just kind of a fun team to watch, and most important, they're winning games. But so let's start offensively. Are we happy with what this team does as far as their lineup goes? Statistically, yeah, they're in the top half of the league in runs scored, which is, I mean, really, that's you got to score runs. I mean, that's a big deal. So that's that. You got some guys having good years. Wilmer's been great. Jung-Ho Lee's been great. I think in this on this question about the ovens, I think there's more there. I think this team has been decent. It's really relied on the clutch hit, which that's good. That's all you have to do is get a couple of clutch hits if you pitch and play defense. And that's what the Giants have been able to do. Is that offense enough? I think there's more there. And I say that because Lamont Wade is better than his numbers. There's no question. I mean, he struggled and now he's in some bad luck, but there's more there for him. There's more there for Bailey. These guys are not, 140, 150, 160 hitters. They may not be 25 home run guys, but there's more there. There's more there for Willy Adames. I think we know that. He's had some clutch hits, but overall, his numbers will go up. I think there's more there for Elliot Ramos as well. We'll see on that. So I think offensively, I think they've been, pretty good, but I think there's more. I think it has a chance to be a better offensive team. We'll see, but that's just sort of the way I feel. And because there's some guys that haven't done a lot, and those are guys that are playing pretty much every day. And I think you're going to get a little more production from them. Is there a spot that you got to keep a close eye on? Yeah, I think you got to keep a close eye on first base. I mean, you hate to say that, but Lamont's numbers are down, but he has looked better lately, and you hope that he's starting to turn it around. So that's the offensive kind of where the Giants are at offensively in my mind after the first month of the season. Pitching wise, let's split it up looking at the starters. They've been decent. Verlander, Ray, better lately. Webb's been great. Nobody's been hurt. 5 guys making starts every 5th day. That's important. I like that. I like the patience and stick with your guys. I think the concern, if you have any, would be Hicks and Roop at the back end of the rotation. They've shown signs, there's signs where they're both really good. And then there's, we see some, shorter outings and maybe get knocked around a little bit, but they both have so much upside. So I think if those 2 guys can hold down the back end of the rotation with the other guys they got, I think the rotation will be fine, and I think it'll be good enough. And I think a decision that the Giants may think about making as we move well into the season, and maybe you get to July and you're right in it, and you got everything's going. Do you think about trying to add a co-ace? There's not a lot of those available, and they're costly. But maybe if there's a guy, and we'll talk about this, later on in the summer when it gets closer to trade deadline. But maybe that's something that the Giants think about doing. But as far as the rotation right now, they're all healthy, and that's a good sign because as we're going to talk about in the National League West, that's not the case with every team. Health is always one of those things that you're just never sure about. But let's get to the bullpen. And here's my thoughts on the bullpen. It's been great. We all know that. We watch the games. We see the bullpen has been terrific. 2 things that pop into my head when it comes to the bullpen. I think that the Giants moving forward are going to think a lot more about a 2 closer system. We know those 2 guys would be Walker and Doval. And we've seen it a little bit early on because Walker struggled some and Doval has looked pretty good. But I just see moving forward, it's just a little bit easier for Bob Melvin to have 2 legitimate closers, because if you're winning a lot of games, you use your closer a lot. And, so there's a resting. And so I like that idea. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants put that in play really big time. We're like, we got 2 closers. And I also wouldn't be surprised if other teams start to think about that as far as their closers go. The kind of like in the NFL where you have the 2 running backs, right? I mean, that's become a thing now. You almost have to have 2 running backs. I could see the 2 closer thing becoming more of a normal thing in Major League Baseball. Just because if a guy's going bad or if a guy gets hurt, you got somebody else there. But even if both guys are healthy, using them both to close games. I'm going to watch that closely and see if that's something that the front office and Bob Melvin, start to do a little bit more to keep both guys fresh. And the other thing with the bullpen, and this is really interesting to me, is this Hayden Birdsong young man who's just been sensational. And we all would love to see Hayden Birdsong in the rotation for obvious reasons, right? He's going to be really good for a long time for the Giants. And so he's in the bullpen. and he's been great in the bullpen. There's not a spot for him, technically, in the rotation because they got 5 guys. They're all healthy. And, if something happened to one of those guys, yeah, Birdsong would probably jump in the rotation. But let's just hope everybody stays healthy. Hayden Birdsong coming out of the bullpen is a big, big deal. And he is a huge, huge asset coming out of that bullpen. And not only has he been terrific, but he has said, I'm starting to get used to it and I'm fine with it, for now. He wants to be a starter. That's fine. But think about him as a weapon out of the bullpen, being able to go 2-3 really good quality innings, once every 3 days, which, Bob and the staff will keep a very close eye on that. And that's what we've seen from Birdsong. And he's helped the Giants win games by doing that. We saw it, on the last homestand. This kid is special. He'll be special in the rotation when a spot opens up. But he can be just as special this year pitching out of the bullpen. And we've seen it already. And I think we're going to continue to see it more. Think about him being able to come in, even if it's once every 3-4 days, and being able to throw 2 or 3 innings, how that saves the rest of the bullpen. And the innings that he's throwing are high quality. I like Birdsong where he's at right now. And I think that is a weapon that not a lot of people have. He's not a long reliever. You got Bivens to be your long reliever. This guy is special. And he can be special out of the bullpen like he has been already. And I'd like to see that continue, and I think it will, unless he is needed in the rotation. Keep an eye on Birdsong and how good and how much he helps not just the game, but the entire bullpen by what he can do. So something to think about. Defensively, I like the team. I think they've been very good defensively. Interesting, analytically, the Giants' defensive numbers have not been great, which is a surprise to me. I'm a little bit more of a eyeball it guy when it comes to defense. I think you can see a lot when you sit and watch a game, especially at the ballpark. To me, they're pretty good defensively. So analytics may be seeing a little bit something else, but you get quality people pretty much at every position. They've had a couple innings this year, just a couple innings where the defense has been bad and they've given away outs, but overall, they have given away very few outs. And as we've seen other teams give the Giants extra outs and lose games because of it. So I don't see, I don't see the defense really being a big issue at all. I think it's a bright spot. It'll continue. They turned the double play well. So that's sort of my look at the Giants the first month of the season. I don't know if you guys agree with it or not. And if you do, like I said, feel free to fire a question. Just go to the chat room and fire a question, and we'll see if we can, we'll see if we can come to an agreement. But that's kind of my look at the Giants through the first month of the season. Now, let's slide to the National League West, okay? Because it's a great division. I mean, everybody's playing great except for the Rockies, and it's going to be fun. And we'd all love for the Dodgers to be bad, Padres to be bad. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So let's enjoy what's going to be, or what certainly has a chance to be, a really, really fun, division race. And then, you got 3 wild cards, who knows? They could all go. So let's enjoy what's going on. But Dodgers are interesting right now. Remember, they started great, 8-0, have kind of played right around 500 since then. Giants don't see the Dodgers till the middle of June, which, they may be healthier by then. But I think that the overriding thing with the Dodgers right now is their rotation is kind of in shambles. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be that way the whole year, but injuries have just killed. Blake Snell, 2 starts, he's out. which, I don't know. Are we surprised? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But Snell's out. Goslin, the other starter's out. Kershaw's out. Tyler Glasnow left his last 2 starts. Not good. He's going to go on the injured list. He's a stud. And these guys are all on the injured list. And then their bullpens are banged up. Trinan's out. Kopech's out. Gratterall's out. These are high-end relievers. We remember them from last year. They're all on the injured list. So the pitching right now, the rotation and the bullpen is a little bit of an issue for the Dodgers. Now, at some point, will they get these guys back? I would guess. But right now, they're kind of ham and egging it a little bit with the rotation, and they shouldn't have to do that. But in fairness to them, Yamamoto's been great, Cy Young candidate, terrific. And the other young Japanese pitcher, Sasaki, has shown some signs of what he's all about. He's had a couple rough outings, but those 2 guys are kind of holding it together as best they can. So that's a little bit of an issue. In fact, Bruce Jenkins, a terrific columnist for the Chronicle, wrote about this over the weekend about the Dodgers' issues with their rotation, where we're watching the Giants throw 5 guys out there, every 5th day, no injuries. So that's kind of the difference there right now. Doesn't mean that things can't straighten out. They're hitting the ball out of the ballpark like they always do. Ohtani's been, decent. Hernandez has been great. Tommy Edmonds has been maybe their best offensive player. So anyway, so the issue with the Dodgers is, banged up, rotation unsure, but they still had a very, very good first month of the season. So even though there's issues, they're still what they are. Now, that brings us to the San Diego Padres. Same type of thing with the Padres. Remember, they had a great start. They started 7-0, and now they've, fallen back a little bit, got off to a great start at home. They were shutting people out. They are struggling some right now. And their offense, which is still hard to believe, but their offense has not been great, except for Tatis. Tatis is an MVP candidate, playing the way he's supposed to. But there's some guys that are struggling, and they're banged up. They're without Cronenworth and Arise and Jackson Merrill. I mean, think about it. That's 3 really good hitters. They'll get those guys back at some point. But they too are a little bit banged up on the pitching side. Remember, Musgrove is out. Yu Darvish is out, and Dylan Cease has not pitched well. Their 2 guys are King and Pivetta. They have really held the rotation together as well, kind of like the 2 guys with the Dodgers. So, but again, much like the Dodgers, the Padres have these issues that I just threw out there, but their record is still very good. So that's what you're going to have to deal with if you're the Giants. These teams are so talented that even when they're banged up, they're still winning games. And that's the sign of a good team. And the Padres are very good. The Dodgers are very good. They're contenders. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then the Diamondbacks. And we saw the Diamondbacks reach the World Series 2 years ago. Okay. And they're, struggling a little bit. They got a tough schedule coming up. They got a 16-game stretch where, I looked it up. They're playing the Mets and the Phillies and the Mets again and the Dodgers, and then they come to San Francisco. So that's something to watch for as the Diamondbacks kind of move on to the second month of the baseball season. But they are the D-backs. And, I looked up Corbin Burns. Interesting. Remember the Giants? Everybody thought he was definitely going to sign with the Giants. He ended up signing with the Diamondbacks, got a huge contract. He's pitched okay. He doesn't have a win yet. He's winless in 5 starts. He's pitched decent, not great, but I would imagine he'll turn it around. But, you always kind of check on these guys that you thought the Giants were going to sign, or you thought maybe he wanted to sign with the Giants. But it turns out he didn't. And so you're always kind of like, well, how's he doing? How's he doing with the Diamondbacks? And, the Giants will see him plenty this year, I'm sure. But Burns does not have a win yet. for Arizona. So that's where the Diamondbacks are at. They're a good team as well. We've seen them. They run around. They're athletic. They catch everything. They're good defensively. Corbin Carroll is back. He's having an MVP type season this year. So we've seen the Diamondbacks that we know what they're all about. Where they're running around in their ballpark and they make every play and so they're going to be around. I don't think anybody will argue if you say they are absolutely a contender, the Diamondbacks. So we know for sure, in our opinion, that they got 3 contenders in the National League West. So that's a look at the Giants division. Now let's finish this by taking a quick look at what's going on in the Giants minor league system. We all like to follow the minor leagues, right? Who's doing great. But I'm doing this today with the thought of, do the Giants have enough if they needed to at some point this summer make a big deal, make a big trade? Or do they have enough if some guys went down, if injuries hit? Because those are the 2 areas where you hope your minor league system can help you if you have your major league roster pretty well covered. And I think at this point, you could probably say the Giants do. The depth with the Giants, and we've heard all about spring training, is in their high level, meaning AA, AAA, specifically AAA pitchers. And they got a bunch. I mean, Carson Wisenhunt, young left-hander, he's been really good. Got knocked around his last start in AAA, but he's been really good. Kyle Harrison has looked good. That's big news. The velocity is up. He made a couple good starts recently. So we're keeping a close eye on Kyle because we could certainly see him back in the major leagues. But right there, you have 2 high-end left-handed prospects. One of them, we already know, can win games at the big league level. You also have a guy by the name of Carson Seymour. We saw him in spring training a little bit. He's a big, tall right-hander, and he's been excellent at Sacramento. He's got an ERA under 2, which is hard to do at any AAA level. He's a right-hander. There's another starter, Mason Black. We saw Mason Black a little bit in the big leagues last year. He has pitched well in the early going at Sacramento. Here's another guy who is, you could probably consider these guys major league ready. In some cases, they've already pitched in the major leagues. The couple of relievers down there have pitched well, and they're big leaguers. Beck and Jelly. Beck a couple years ago pitched really well. Jelly last year out of the bullpen. So if the Giants are short in the bullpen anywhere, those are 2 guys you could go get. And that they've had success at the big league level before. So there's some depth there. Marco Luciano's playing every day in left field. We're going to keep a close eye on him. His numbers are decent, not great, but he's playing every day in left field. That's the big thing. He's always been a little bit of a slow starter every year. So let's wait till maybe the weather warms up. But the most important thing for Luciano, he needs to play every day in left field. He needs to get 450, 500 at-bats at the AAA level. That makes him attractive to the Giants. It also makes him attractive to other teams. Grant McCray, same thing. Grant McCray was excellent in spring training. Lot of tools. We saw him last year at the big league level show some things off. He also strikes out too much. We'll keep a close eye on, is he striking out less? But here's another guy. He needs to play every single day at AAA because that makes him attractive to both the Giants and to other teams if you need to make a deal. So that's what's kind of going on in AAA from a pitching outfield depth standpoint. And that's where we get to if the Giants needed to make a deal at the trade deadline. And we know the trade deadline is way far away. It's fun to talk about, right? But are there enough assets down there if the Giants needed to go get a co-ace pitcher or go get a position player, maybe they go get a first base or whatever they feel like they may need if they're in contention moving forward? Do they have enough to make a big deal? And when you have young pitchers that are close to the big leagues or have already had success at the big leagues. That is probably the most attractive thing you can have to offer to another team when you start talking about, who do you guys want? Who do you have in your minor leagues? Well, we got a bunch of guys in AAA who are big league ready. Pitchers, starting pitchers that are big league ready. That is a very attractive asset to have if you're the Giants, and they have that. So my point on this whole thing about, are the Giants a contender? I think there's more there for them offensively. I think there's more there from the starters, and the bullpen's been great. And if they needed to do something at the trade deadline, if you're in it, you're 2 back to the Dodgers or whatever, you're 2 up on the Dodgers or wherever you are, but you're in it. You're in it. They have enough, I think, in their minor league system, or even at the, Luis Matos is attractive to teams. They have enough, I think, where they could make a significant deal to get somebody. So when we add all that up and we see what I think we're going to see moving forward, a little more offense. And if you get to a certain spot and you need to do something, they have what you need to do it. So that's why I think that this team is a legitimate contender. I think they will continue to be a legitimate contender. I think it's a team that has some intangibles moving forward that do not show up on the stat sheet, that maybe fans don't look at because they're not on the stat sheet, but they have it. Certain players have it, and certain locker rooms have it. And I think this group may have it. And it's just a feeling of confidence in themselves and going after this whole thing together. And that, that's important. That can carry you a long way. So that's why on my first show on the YouTube channel, I'm going to say that the San Francisco Giants are absolutely a playoff contender in 2025. There it is. Now, I don't know how the viewers feel. Have I convinced them, or are they skeptical? But I tried to give you the reasons why I think they are indeed contenders. That's it for tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be here every week talking Giants baseball on the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants, on the YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And any questions, throw them out there, because we will talk Giants baseball at any time. You can follow me on X, used to be Twitter. We'll see you next week with more Giants baseball. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you joining me on my first YouTube show. Have a good one.